Hello, and welcome to another 9-minute Bible study. Our starting point, 2 Chronicles chapter 29, and let's start with verse 25. And he, King Hezekiah, set the Levites in the house of the Lord with cymbals, with psalteries, with harps, according to the commandment of David and Gad the king's seer, and Nathan the prophet. For so was the commandment of the Lord by his prophets. What do we see here? We see the restoration of song and music in the temple. A little background. In the days of King David, late in his life, the Lord began to reveal to him how the temple system of worship would work. It would be slightly different, partly because the days of transporting the tabernacle and maintaining a tent was over. The Levites, they would still be in service to the Lord, but the Lord was refining what they were doing, and part of this was what? Worship, or what we would call music and songs. Who set it in order? The king. But why? The commandment of the Lord by his prophets. This is not just David being told to do this. He had two other witnesses, Nathan and Gad. Remember the principle. In the eyes of two or three witnesses, or in this case, two or three prophets, is anything established. Can I add something to our era? Just because one person said it, and they call themselves to be a prophet, remember the principle even here in this chapter. There was three prophets, David, Gad, and Nathan, who confirmed the message that the Lord gave to all of them. If a prophetic word is true, there is going to be more than one instance of it. So look for more than one when it comes to a prophetic word. Now back to what we're talking about. What do we see? Hezekiah is restoring the worship in the house of the Lord. In the morning, the musicians would come and play. At the evening, the musicians would come and play. On this day, the day that the temple was reopened for business, we get verse 27. And Hezekiah commanded to offer the burnt offering upon the altar. And when the burnt offering began, the song of the Lord began also with the trumpets and with the instruments ordained by David, king of Israel. And the congregation worshipped, and the singers sang, and the trumpeters sounded, and all this continued until the burnt offering was finished. Verse 29. And when they had made an end of offering, the king and all that were present with him bowed themselves and worshipped. Now I'll go one more verse, verse 30. Moreover, Hezekiah, the king and the princes, commanded the Levites to sing praise unto the Lord with the words of David and of Asaph the seer. And they sang praises with gladness, and they bowed their heads and worshipped. Now let's hold there for a second. The role of the singers and the musicians, it was not to lead the people into singing. It was to sing unto the Lord. They were called to minister to the Lord through song and music. When we are dealing with music and song in the church, the first responsibility of those who have been called into these areas of service, is to do this not for the people and not for those in the local church or even the cameras. They are to do this for the Lord. They have been called to worship the Lord through song and music. The congregation, what happened? They joined in and began to worship the Lord, while the Levites, those who were called into the service ministry of music, they joined together with them, and they began to sing to the Lord as a group. Free will. What did we see at the end of verse 30? Where it said, and they sang praises with gladness. They were happy and joyful that they were able to sing to the Lord, and they bowed their heads and worshiped. Now, there's one other part of worship that is mentioned here, and we see in verse 31 the thanks offering into the house of the Lord. Now, finances, tithes, that's mentioned in chapter 31. What do we see here? The concept of giving thanks to the Lord. There is more to worship than a song. I know there's the words of the song that we've all heard that most of us probably just overlook, but the words of the song, I'll bring you more than a song, for a song in itself is not what you have required. Well, when it comes to worship, it's about giving thanks to the Lord. That's what they were doing here, thanksgiving offerings. It's also about blessing the Lord, honoring the Lord, and giving glory to the Lord. These are the principles of worship. Now, how do we bless the Lord or give thanks to the Lord or honor the Lord or glory the Lord? Part of it is through music and song. But there are other ways like testimony, telling other people about what the Lord has done. It's about giving, yes, time and service and money. Remember, that's what Abraham did when he tithed. He tithed because he was thankful to the Lord, because the Lord had blessed him. The Lord was a blessing. Now Abraham was being a blessing to the Lord. The four key areas of worship is what? Thanksgiving, blessing, honor, glory. We do this through the word of our mouth, through action, through song and worship. This is how we praise the Lord, how we worship the Lord. It's more than just singing a song. As a church, if we want to move deeper into worship, we must restore it to the four basic principles, which is what? To be a blessing, to give thanks, to give honor, to give glory. Now our praise, what will it do? It will do those four things. Our song, our actions, it should do those four things. When it comes to worship, what must we do? We must give thanks, we must bless the Lord, honor the Lord, and give glory to the Lord. And when that happens, true worship in the church will be revived. And we will pick up with this in our next lesson.